peace through terror is coming to an end. And I think it is the moment to say we must now really make the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty work. We must start negotiations on elimination. For years, I think a kind of confidence trick has been played on the people that we'll reduce the numbers, we'll reduce the numbers. That is irrelevant. You could do as much damage with 10 nuclear weapons as you can with 100 nuclear weapons if you put them in the right place. We've got to talk about eliminating them, and that means making it criminal to make them and having a court in which that can operate, having inspections that can control other people's factories, having moral codes and legal codes amongst scientists, controlling fissile material. All these are the basic nuts and bolts of any disarmament program. First of all, I don't think it's any longer a question of nuclear weapons only. We're talking about war, of which nuclear weapons are the most horrible bit. So for years, I've never just said, let's get rid of nuclear weapons and leave the situation as it is, because someone will recreate or reproduce nuclear weapons. So you've got to talk about non-violent and intelligent, reasonable ways of resolving conflict. And it may take 20 years, I understand that. But as part of that process, I think there has also got to be what I call a cultural, international change of mentality. I'm afraid we still, despite all the language of living in one world, we still live in our separate boxes. Separate castles, really. Some small castles, some big castles. Now, I'm English, and I'm very happy to live here. I think England's a great country. We've got a great tradition. We've got we helped to start democracy and so on, and we've got beautiful scenery and nice people, etc. So I'm English, but before being English, I'm a citizen of this planet. God has put me here in this bit of the world, but it's not the only bit of the world. And I think we've got to start thinking seriously about international citizenship, that we are part of a global community. I'd like to see every secondary school child anywhere around the world being handed, when the day they start school, a copy of the United Nations Charter. I'd like to see them handed a copy of the International Declaration of Human Rights. And they should be as familiar with those things as they are with the names of their local football players. It should be a #1 item on their agendas. I know we're a long way off, and we're contending with a media and an entertainment industry with which killing is fun, is normal, intriguing fun, and we've got to change all that culture. But I think it can be done. I think there are two major forces. One is nationalism. We saw when the Pakistanis got a bomb, they were jumping up and down with delight. When the Indians got one, they jumped up and down with delight. Ernest Bevin, who got us our bomb, comes into a cabinet meeting and says, I want one with a bloody great Union Jack on top. That was absolutely typical of what the mentality is. And that nationalism doesn't just affect war and peace. It affects music, it affects football, it affects all sorts of things. We've got to be global citizens first, and then loyal and proud members of our own country. And that's a whole change of education, of thinking, of our churches, of our trade unions, of universities and everybody. So that's one great driving force, nationalism. If they've got them, we're going to have them. That's the problem. And the other thing that stops this, what I call common sense, and it is common sense coming through, is I think institutional professionalism. There are people who've given their lives, their technologies, their diplomatic skills to defending the present structure. And it's almost like me suddenly saying, oh, well, there's no God or something. For them to concede that their lives have been a waste of time, they have not helped humanity, I think it's an enormous leap for them. I think there are, of course, financial issues, who gets the business and all that stuff. But I think those nationalism and vested personal professionalism, I think, drives this thing along. I also think there must be a surge from those humanitarian agencies who are always looking for money to deal with poverty there. Because the whole nuclear thing is an absolute barrel full of money going to waste. And at the moment, unfortunately, there's a kind of gulf between the development world and the environmental world and the disarmament world. And I think it depends. I think that the directors and chairs of Oxfam of Christian Aid, of CAFOD, of these bodies, have got to say loudly that the whole war thing, not just nuclear weapons, is a drain on humanity. Because Eisenhower called it a theft from the poor. And that's what it is, a theft from the poor. My main motivation is what I would call simple Christianity. It's a bit sort of open to ridicule to say it like that, but in fact that's what it is. Because I think if Christianity means anything, it means loving your enemies and turning the other cheek, and that is the one new factor in society that evolution doesn't account for, concern, disinterested love. And I think Christian CND has always had a strong influence in CND. It's an institution that brings hope, and in a sense that you're not doing it all yourself. You know, a lot of people go flat out and get fed up because they don't see results. All the Christian can say is, I'm doing what I can in my time. Here's my sixpence worth. It's up to you. You made this whole place. You better do something about it. So I will recap, if I may, if you're still with me. One, the weaponry. Yes, we can get rid of it. We've seen how we can get rid of it. This country no longer has chemical weapons. We decided they were useless. We didn't do any treaties. We just got rid of them. Weapons can go, and we've seen chemical weapons, bacteriological weapons, good treaties going. We've seen an international criminal court starting, all sorts of positive things. The arms trade being limited. Those are what I call the technicalities. But under it, we have to have the civilization that believes that we are a global family, first of all, and that we can settle our disputes non-violently, as most of us do, nearly all the time. It's a long time. The last time I hit somebody, I was in secondary school, and I've got the mark on my finger still, but that was 70 years ago. I haven't hit anybody since, and I don't think normally we do that. But we've got a culture that puts it on a high platform when it comes to solving national disputes, our military solutions. So I think we've got to change the culture and change the weapons. And then perhaps we move on to a better sort of world.